Hey, Reviews and Done. Who's giving you a dose this week?
What's going on, folks? Once again, it's your man Derek Dunn back with another A1 interview. Today, I have the pristine privilege of talking to a filmmaker who's on the rise, and it's a festival that I wasn't aware of, but studio sent over the goods. I was intrigued, so decided to chop it up with this young man. That's Mr. Daniel Bogron, and he has a new film out at the Raindance Film Festival. So, welcome to the line, sir. Let's chop it up, and why don't you tell the folks out there the title of your film and what it's about?
Sure. The name of the movie's The Killing Moon, and it's about a young wealthy couple that go out to like their sort of lake vacation home, and there's a knock on the door one night, and it's a stranger who's wounded, and they decide to let him in, and then sort of it devolves from there. And the idea is to kind of do like a very simple premise, and then have it escalate into something a little bit more unpredictable than it seems.
Cool, cool. So what was the inspiration behind this film?
Honestly, it's kind of budget limitations at first because I knew I wouldn't have like an enormous budget. And so I was just kind of thinking about kind of what I could do with the constraints that I had, and doing something that was kind of a three-hander in a small setting like a house or something like that. And I was just trying to figure out a way to make that interesting. And so it kind of started in, just from the limitations, really not really having that much. But then from there, I got an idea one morning. It sounds ridiculous, but I basically like woke up one day and just kind of had this idea in my head and wrote it down and didn't think much of it, and looked back on it a little bit later and thought that's not bad, and then started kind of writing from there.
And who were some of those early influences that you had going on?
So for this, I remember rewatching the movie Knife in the Water, which is I think Polanski's first movie, and that was really inspiring just because it was so stripped down and so bare, and so like, oh, he didn't have anything. He had a boat and he had three people, and he was able to make it interesting the whole time. And so that was pretty inspiring. There's a French movie called Diabolique that was also pretty inspiring, by Henri Clouzot. And so kind of older influences for his, it's weird because the movie has some modern touches with the crypto ledger and things like that, but the engine of it I've always seen as basically being pretty old and pretty, 50s, 60s kind of vibe.
Ah, very cool. Cinephile like myself. So would you kind of say your film is more in the thriller genre, or does it lean more into horror? Because I mean, if you're looking at where horror is right now, with Backrooms killing
Yeah,
it, Obsession is killing it,
yeah.
um, horror is kind of on the rise now, and arguably, because I guess you could say elevator horror is seems to be the norm. Kind of like how in the 80s we had slashers, and then 90s kind of brought it back, but now it's like you have all this new crop of filmmakers coming out with very small budgets, simple ideas, and they're out here, killing it. So I mean, where would you like to see the horror genre go, not only as a fan, but as a filmmaker and in the next couple years?
Yeah, it's been really exciting to see it happen. I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for something like this to happen. I do see this movie more as a drama thriller, with darkly comedic stuff in it. But it does, I see how like the setup kind of feels like a little bit of a horror setup. But it's exciting regardless because it's just like these low budget movies that are taking risks. That's what you would want to happen basically. And
Hmm.
I know everyone that I've talked to, all my filmmaker friends and stuff, that we're all excited for it because this is kind of what we've been waiting for, is something like this. These like indie projects that can take a little bit more risk and be a little bit uh, just a little bit more creative, and are not made by committee and are made by somebody that has a vision and wants to put it out there.
Yeah, and I think a big thing that I've always kind of been a component of is, being online and seeing how, I guess, the public complains about the quality of film that's out there. And I've always said, well, realistically, you got to be the change you want to see. I mean, it's just that's what
Mhm.
it comes down to it, particularly now to where, all you need is an iPhone or a Droid, an idea, and you can make a film and finance it yourself. And hopefully you can sell it to the next, to a studio to then do what you want to do. I mean, a prime example is what Sean Baker did with Tangerine. And now
Sure.
he's,
Yeah.
eventually he got to the
Well, he won the Oscar.
yeah, to the Oscar.
Yeah.
So it's like, you really can't complain about the quality of film if you aren't doing stuff to be the change. And then there's so many good filmmakers out here that aren't necessarily signed to major studios, but they're producing quality content. But the question is, are you supporting that quality, content? Are you going to sit on your soapbox and complain?
Totally. Yeah, yeah, totally agree with that for sure.
So how many script drafts did you go through before you were totally satisfied with your final draft?
Um, this came pretty quick. The core idea I had kind of right at the onset. I at least knew the midpoint basically, and some stuff after, but it was a little hazier. That ended up changing quite a bit. But I wrote the scripts in about 2 to 2.5 weeks, so pretty quickly, and which is kind of the whole idea. I didn't want to overthink it. I just wanted to kind of like go from the gut and just write. And then from there, there were a few other drafts, a few little changes and stuff. But I do think though the weirdly the I did get probably 70%, 80% of what I wanted on that first draft, which is kind of crazy. But I had to kind of fix the stuff that wasn't quite working.
Cool.
But it happened pretty quick.
And you mentioned that you only have a cast of about three people.
Yeah, there's three main characters basically in the whole movie. And yeah, and that was challenging, but it was fun to see what I could try to do to get, build as much tension and much conflict with that kind of situation. And the nice thing about it is that it creates like a situation where we're just kind of like hanging out with these characters the whole time. And I didn't want a lot of backstory. I just wanted us to kind of be plopped down with these people and make our own observations about them. And yeah, and the conflict just comes from that. And that was a challenge, but it was great. It worked out, I think.
And how was your casting process? Were you already have a relationship with the people that you cast, or did you actually have a open casting call?
No, so I didn't do either of those. I actually reached out to everybody through looking at short films on YouTube and looking at indie features and just writing down a bunch of lists. It wasn't the most practical kind of process because you go through a lot of hours of footage and but that was the way I kind of went about it and pretty much just ended up reaching out to all of them individually and asking if they would be interested in making this, and I sent them the script and they all dug it, and then we just made a movie.
Cool, cool. Very, very inspiring. All right, so
Cool.
before I let you go, and before you get a chance to drop your socials, I got to hit you with a couple zingers, a couple hard questions. So I'm all about people having original IP, original stories, but I mean, I think anybody that, a lover of film, anybody that went to film school, anybody that's ever wanted to actually break into that genre, break into that field, they've always had one particular IP that they would love just to get their hands on and improve it or give their own spin to. So I'm gonna hit you with three. Give me one horror franchise you would love to just reboot or do yourself and put your own flair on it.
Oh man, I don't know. That's really hard. Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think I would do a horror franchise thing. I honestly, I yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know. I don't know if I would be interested in doing any of those, to be honest.
All right, let's pivot to what about comic book character?
I've always had a soft spot for Spider-Man. I don't know why. It's always been yeah, so I like Spider-Man.
And the final one, musical biopic. Anybody, any artist, any genre that you had the rights to their music, to their journals, to them, you could just they want you to do their biopic. Whose life story would you want to tell?
Um, hmm. Orson Welles is pretty interesting guy. That would be pretty interesting. If he kind of already, yeah, I don't know. Hmm. I'm a big fan of philosophy, so maybe Nietzsche would be another interesting biopic.
Need Nietzsche. Yeah, we need a Nietzsche biopic 'cause not enough folks know about Nietzsche.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we need another. I think what hit me to Nietzsche when I was a kid, first time I saw Coming to America when Akeem was on a date with Lisa and they're just talking and he randomly drops a Nietzsche quote in their conversation. Like, yeah, that's not mine, that's Nietzsche. And then it's like, who the hell is Nietzsche? So let me go look this up. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he
He's
had a
usually the
lot of
go-to for like the pretentious quote in the movie or
yeah.
something. But I found him super interesting when I was younger and yeah, he would be fascinating.
All right, my good man. Well, I want to take time out of your busy schedule to chop it up with me. I'm looking forward to viewing your film and watching it and
Awesome.
giving my feedback. So where can fans
Cool.
find you on social media and where can they find out more about your film?
So we're on Instagram at just the Killing Moon Movie, and also on I have a Twitter handle, Either Or Studios. And the movie will be playing at Raindance in a couple weeks, and we're hoping to get a distribution deal and then have it go on streaming somewhere, hopefully soon.
All right, cool. Thank you, sir. Peace and blessings.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Hi, this is Rihanna.
Hey, what's up? This is Ludacris.
You're rocking with the best. It's Reviews and Done.